What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Maverick Raven coming at you with another one. And I've been saying it. All right, I've been saying that my conspiracy theories are coming out to be conspiracy facts. And I guess I need new conspiracy theories because all my conspiracy theories are coming out to be, to be true. So if you guys have been following this channel, okay, you would know that Donald Trump tried to get assistance for January 6th for the incident on January 6th. I'm not gonna call it an insurrection. That's ridiculous. Um, and he was denied. He was just outright rejected. And who was in control of that? That was Nancy Pelosi. Now let's look at this because this is kind of crazy. We've got a whistleblower here who's claiming that the military leaders plotted to disobey Trump's orders even though he was still commander in chief. It's just it's like this story's like an onion, man. The more you hear about how they basically were having it out for Donald Trump right from the get, the more you find out, it's just you peel back one layer and it's like, oh look, it's 10 more layers, and then another, no, it's another 10 layers. It's crazy, dude. Anyways, let's get to this. This is from the Epic Times. Before we get into that, guys, don't forget to please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really would appreciate if you guys join the flock. The air is for everyone. Now, getting to it. It's Major General Walker conveyed a request for assistance at around 1:50 p.m. on January 6th, but the guard was not deployed to the Capitol until about 5:10 p.m. So you're talking about a difference of what, almost 3.5 hours? That's pretty crazy, dude. That is pretty crazy. It says senior military leaders plotted to disobey then President Donald Trump's orders on January 6, 2021, because they unreasonably thought he might try to use the DC National Guard to block certification of the 2020 presidential election, according to whistleblower Colonel Earl Matthews. I think a very plausible argument can be made that through no fault of his own, President Trump's command authority over both the DC National Guard and the U.S. Army itself had been surreptitiously curtailed by the senior leadership of the Army on January 6, 2021, Colonel Matthews told the Daily Mail in a May 3rd interview. Army leadership had unreasonably anticipated an unlawful order from the president, an order that the president had no plans to issue, and were preemptively seeking to curtail his discretion to issue such an order, he added. The remarks by Colonel Matthews dovetail with the contents of a book written in mid-2021 titled I Alone Can Fix It, that claims then Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and other military leaders informally planned for different ways to disobey potential orders issued by President Trump that they disagreed with. That's not their role, man. Like, that's not their job, you know? But I guess it's okay because it's against Trump, and punch a Nazi in the face because you can, hate, you fight hate with more hate. Like, that's crazy to me. But whatever. The DOD did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Colonel Matthews' claims. Of course not. This is a loaded freaking question here. On January 6, 2021, Colonel Matthews was serving as a top attorney to Major General William Walker, who at the time was the commanding general of the DC National Guard. Major General Walker conveyed a request for assistance at around 1:50 p.m. on January 6th, but the Guard was not deployed to the Capitol until about 5:10 p.m., according to a timeline from the DC National Guard. Questions remain on why it took around 3 hours, a little bit more than that, to deploy DC National Guard troops to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th in response to unrest as Congress convened to certify the 2020 presidential election. Excuse me. While it remains unclear exactly why there was such a long delay to mobilize and deploy the Guard troops from an armory just 2 miles away from the Capitol, a breakdown in communications and concerns about the optics of using armed soldiers in response to the unrest have been posited as key factors. The Pentagon Inspector General's report and a report from the January 6th committee that investigated the events of that day concluded that no Pentagon officials deliberately delayed the deployment. However, Colonel Matthews has challenged the Pentagon's narrative about the events of January 6th. He was also among 4 whistleblowers who testified before Congress on April 17th about the delay in the deployment of the Guard on that day. Lawmakers were convening on Capitol Hill to certify the electoral votes and make the results of the 2020 election official. In his 36-page memo, excuse me, Colonel Matthews makes 2 major accusations. The first is that 2 Army General Charles Flynn, who served as Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations on January 6, 2021, and Lieutenant General Walter Piatt, the Director of Army Staff, lied to Congress about the response to calls for quick deployment of the D.C. Guard that day as the unrest was unfolding. The second key allegation is that the Pentagon's narrative of the events of January 6, as outlined in the DoD Inspector General's report, was full of factual inaccuracies. Ooh. It's sickening, isn't it? Like for real, it's sickening because you get past just one layer of corruption and you just get smacked in the face with another layer, man. It's disgusting, dude. It's disgusting, and honestly, we're still the best country on the planet. It's crazy, dude. Every leader in the D.C. Guard wanted to respond and knew they could respond to the riot at the seat of the government. Before they were given approval to do so on January 6th, Colonel Matthews wrote in his memo, but instead, D.C. Guard officials sat stunned watching in the armory, he wrote. In his memo, Colonel Matthews accused General Flynn and Lieutenant General Piatt of lying to Congress when they denied ever saying that the Guard should not be deployed to the Capitol. Colonel Matthews elaborated on his interview with the Daily Mail, claiming that General Flynn and Lieutenant General Piatt were both obsessively focused on the bad optics of deploying military personnel to the Capitol while Congress was certifying the electoral votes. He said that they both believed that civilian law enforcement personnel could handle the job and felt that the best use of the Guard would be to relieve civilian law enforcement at other locations to free them up to deploy to the Capitol. Oh, that sounds plausible, but maybe it's just a specious argument. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just something that looks like it could hold water, but it really doesn't. You know? Neither General Flynn nor Lieutenant General Piatt could be reached for comment, and the Pentagon did not respond to a request for comment. That's not a surprise, is it? However, when Colonel Matthews' memo was first released, Army spokesperson Mike Brady told Politico that General Flynn and Lieutenant General Piatt have been open, honest, and thorough in their sworn testimony with Congress and DoD investigators. A Pentagon spokesperson told the Epoch Times in an earlier statement that we stand by our January 6th report. Unbelievable, man. The April 17th congressional hearing titled 3 Years Later, D.C. National Guard Whistleblowers Speak Out on January 6th Delay has shed further light on the events of January 6th. At the hearing, whistleblowers alleged that then Secretary Ryan McCarthy made multiple false claims, including that he spoke to the commanding general of the D.C. National Guard on 2 separate occasions after officials requested that the Guard be deployed to the Capitol. After Major General Walker conveyed a request from the U.S. Capitol Police for Guard personnel, Mr. McCarthy called Major General Walker at 2:14 p.m. and instructed the Guard to stand by, according to the timeline of events, but the whistleblowers claimed that this call never took place. At no time did General Walker take any calls, nor did we ever hear from the Secretary on any of the ongoing conference calls or the secure video teleconferencing throughout the day, Captain Timothy Nick, who served as Major General Walker's personal assistant on January 6, 2021, said during the hearing. This I know because I was with the Command General the entire time recording the events. That doesn't sound good, man. That does not sound good. Despite General Walker conveying the request for assistance at about 1:50 p.m., the Guard was not deployed to the Capitol until about 5:10 p.m. This was a dereliction of duty by the Secretary of the Army, Rep. Greg Murphy, one of the members of the committee, said. Mr. McCarthy refused to appear before the panel, Mr. Murphy said. Christopher Miller, the acting Secretary of Defense at the time, authorized Guard deployment at 3:11 p.m., but Mr. McCarthy took the order and decided to draw up a plan before ordering the deployment. According to military timelines and testimony from Mr. McCarthy and others, you never would employ our personnel, whether it's on an American street or a foreign street, without putting together a plan, Mr. McCarthy told the now disbanded House January 6th committee. Mr. McCarthy could not be reached for comment. Nobody wants to comment, and nobody will, because you don't want to disappear. You don't want to get well, again, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube yet, right? So you don't want to get disappeared. Let's just say it like that. The Pentagon Inspector General report alleges that General Walker received a call from Mr. McCarthy at 4:35 p.m. informing him that Mr. Miller had approved the request to deploy a D.C. Guard to the Capitol. General Walker denied that claim in an interview with the Washington Post. Our Army has never failed us and did not do so on January 6, 2021, Colonel Matthews told Politico. However, occasionally some of our... I love it. However, occasionally some of our Army leaders have failed us, and they did so on January 6th. Then they lied about it and tried to cover it up. They tried to smear a good man and to erase history. Oh, my... Based as fuck. I'm with it, dude. I'm with it. Guys, the evidence is piling up every day. Every day it's piling up, you know? I know that the vast majority of media, whether it's news or entertainment, music, whatever, all right? I know the vast majority of it is leftist, okay? And I'm not trying to insult leftists right now. But the fact is that the vast majority of it is leftist. So people think that what they are hearing is the absolute objective truth, you know? But the reality is that the vast majority, like I said, of news organizations especially are just leftists. They got a leftist bent. So what ends up happening is they frame their story and they've become, political activists. And their lies have been washed away, and little by little the light is being shown on their lies, everything is being exposed. But yeah, that's it for me today, you guys. Check me out tomorrow. I plan to be up and early making videos for you guys. But yeah, you guys, you know me, man. Stay safe and stay based.